Colleges are finally realizing that natural selection has come for them. There's way too many colleges, way too many useless degrees, cost way too much money, and there's not enough suckers left to keep the whole grift going. So changes got to be made. U.S. colleges are cutting majors and slashing programs after years of putting it off. It's just a phase, guys. Oh, come on. It'll get better. Nope. Christina Westman dreamed of working with Parkinson's disease and stroke patients as a music therapist when she started studying at St. Cloud State University. Not as a doctor, that would take too much time and effort, but as a music therapist. But her schooling was upended in May when administrators said, or at the Minnesota College announced a plan to eliminate his music department as it slashes 42 degree programs and 50 minors. Yeah, all stuff that was likely useless. And look, if you want to stick with music, it's not like there aren't countless music schools still out there. So you have to go somewhere else. But you better hurry up before they all start cutting too, because they will. They can't afford all of these useless degrees anymore, especially as like men in particular aren't going to college anymore. And it's part of a wave of program cuts in recent months as U.S. colleges, large and small, try to make ends meet. Well, maybe they shouldn't have driven men away. They spent the past few years blaming everything on men, saying men are evil, or they're sexist by default, they're the problem, toxic masculinity. So the men just noped out, and that actually led to a lot of women noping out of college too, because a good chunk of women only go to college to find a husband. Now that men aren't going to college anymore, the women's aren't either. And while all this is happening, there's still reluctance to have male-only scholarships, because even though men are by far the minority in college, still got to say they're privileged and advantaged. Well, or you could just go bankrupt. And among their budget challenges, federal Corona Chan relief money is now gone. Their operational costs are rising, and fewer high school graduates are going straight to college. Good. They're finally getting smarter. They're starting to realize they don't need it. Like, they got to see their predecessors waste hundreds of thousands of dollars in 4 years of their lives just so they can get a job that pays about as much as if you would have gone to work straight out of high school anyway. In fact, if they got a lot of these people, if they got a job straight out of high school, they would have been making more money because they would have spent those 4 years advancing in that job. College, unless you really know what you're doing, it's just a mistake. And the cuts mean more than just savings or even job losses. Often they create turmoil for students who chose a campus because of certain degree programs and then wrote checks or signed up for student loans. If you signed up to get a useless degree and now you're crying because it got canceled, look, they're doing you a favor. Let's say you were 2 years into a 4-year useless degree and it got canceled. If you do the right thing and just cut your losses at the 2-year mark and go do something else with your life, you'll be way better off than if you rode through and got that degree. So just look at it that way, and it'll be a lot better for you. Trust me. They're doing you a favor. For me, it's really been anxiety-ridden, said Westman, 23, as she began the effort that ultimately led to her transfer to Augsburg University in Minneapolis, is just the fear of the unknown. All right, so she did do what I said. She did transfer to another college. That was a pretty dumb move, to be honest, but oh well. At St. Cloud State, most students will be able to finish their degrees before the cuts kick in, but Westman's music therapy major was a new one that hadn't officially started. Okay. She spent the past 3 months in a mad dash to find work in a new shitty and sublet her apartment in St. Cloud after she had already signed a lease. She was moving into her new apartment on Friday. This I can sympathize with. Oh man, and then if she wanted to get out of that lease, she'd probably have to pay a fee plus 2 months of rent. Oh, I've been there. I could feel her pain. Yeah, I actually got sympathy in this regard. Literally just signed the lease on a house or apartment, and that's when you find out, oh, by the way, you're moving again. Yeah, this is some bullshit right there. For years, many colleges held off making cuts, said Larry Lee, who was acting president of St. Cloud State, but left last month to lead Blackburn College in Illinois. College enrollment declines during the pandemic, but officials hoped figures would recover to pre-corona trend levels and had used federal relief money to prop up their budgets in the meantime. Yeah, but now the federal relief money has run out. And on top of that, your enrollment hasn't recovered because like you're literally driving these people away. They were holding on, Lee said, knowing colleges will now face their new reality. Yeah, the new reality of the free market that there's way more supply than there is demand. Yeah, you gotta get shut down, man. You gotta get cut. There's way too many of you and not enough people that want to go. Higher indoctrination made up some ground last fall in the spring semester, largely as community college enrollment began to rebound. The National Student Clearinghouse Research Center data showed. Yeah, so those of you still considering going to college, community colleges are great because they're way cheaper. So I would actually suggest looking into the college you really want to go and finding a community college nearby and making sure that the credits will transfer. And if the credits transfer, just take care of all of your useless gen ed, like just basically degree padding shit. And take care of all of that in the community college. It'll be way cheaper. You'll save a lot of money. And then you can take your actual important classes at the other college. So yeah, you could use community colleges that way. They're real good for that. But you do have to check if the credits transfer first, because a lot of these schools are very vindictive. Like they won't transfer certain credits at all because they want you wasting 10 times as much money doing the classes through them. Because the whole purpose of these gen ed classes is to pad degrees and make you spend more money. So if you save money by going through community college, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? So some colleges don't like that. But the trend of four-year colleges remains worrisome. It's a self-inflicted problem. Even without growing concerns about the cost of college and the long-term burden of student debt, the pool of young adults is shrinking. Birth rates fell during the Great Recession and never recovered. Now, those smaller classes are preparing to graduate and head off to college. Oh my God. Way to make me feel old. It's very difficult math to overcome, said Patrick Lane, Vice President of the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Indoctrination, leading authority on student demographics. Well, I know how you can maybe cushion the blow. Why don't you keep calling men toxic and forcing them to admit that they're the problem in everything? That'll get more of them coming. Complicating the situation, the federal government's chaotic overhaul of its financial aid application. Millions of students entered summer break still wondering if they were going to college this fall and how they would pay for it. With jobs still plentiful, although not as much as last year, some experts fear students won't bother to enroll at all. Yeah, then you got stories like the one I covered weeks ago where a fucking 40-year-old dude that already had a good job decided to quit that job to go back to college. And now the only work he can get is his old work at a much lower pay. Good going there. This year, going into next fall, it's going to be bad, said Catherine Mayer, a fellow at the Governance Studies program at the Brown Center on Indoctrination Policy at the nonprofit Brookings Institution. I think a lot of colleges are really concerned they're not going to make their enrollment targets. Yeah, previously this was mostly reserved to just like the super woke schools like Evergreen that actively drove away all of their customers. But now it's pretty much all of them. They're all going to go through this. And most of them, they did this to themselves. I got absolutely no sympathy. They deserve everything they're getting. And then some. All the damage they caused over the years. Look, the woke infestation, like ground zero for it was college. So if we could get rid of these converged colleges, these infested institutions, we could start recovering other facets of our society. Many colleges like St. Cloud State already had started plowing through their budget reserves. The university's enrollment rose to around 18,300 students in fall of current year -4, before steady falling off to about 10,000 students in fall current year -1. Almost half. Yeah, that's impressive right there. St. Cloud State student population is now stabilized, Lee said, but spending was far too high for the reduced number of students. The college's budget shortfall totaled $32 million over the past 2 years, forcing the sweeping cuts. Yeah, get rid of some useless degree fields. You probably have a lot of useless bloat there in general. Just get rid of them. Some colleges have taken more extreme steps, closing their doors. This happened at the 1,000-student Birmingham Southern College in Alabama, the 900-student Front Bond University in Missouri, and the 350-student Wells College in New York, and the 220-student Goddard College in Vermont. Cuts, however, appear to be more commonplace. 2 of North Carolina's public universities got the green light last month to eliminate more than a dozen degree programs, ranging from ancient Mediterranean studies to physics. Okay. Why would you cut something that actually could be useful like physics? You didn't have any gender studies courses you could have cut instead? Even now, you're going to hold on to that bloat? Yeah, they deserve to go under. Arkansas State University announced last fall it'll be phasing on 9 programs. 3 of the 64 colleges in the State University of New York system have cut programs amid low enrollment and budget woes. Determining which programs to cut can probably be easily done by looking at what actually gets enrollment, I guess. It might be possible that the useless degrees get more enrollment because they're easier, and you still got morons that believe any degree is better than not wasting 4 years of your life and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So other schools slashing and phasing out programs include West Virginia University, Drake University in Iowa, and University of Nebraska campus in Kearney, North Dakota. And in Kearney, North Dakota State University. And on the other side of the state, Dickinson State University. Well, which state was West Virginia University in? Experts say it was just the beginning. Even schools that aren't immediately making cuts are reviewing their degree offerings. At Pennsylvania State University, officials are looking for duplicative and under-enrolled academic programs as the number of students shrinks at its branch campuses. Good. Way too much supply, not enough demand. It's about time the college bubble burst, and looks like we're finally having it. Particularly affected are students in smaller programs and those in the humanities, which now graduate a smaller share of students than 15 years ago. So useless bloat. It's a humanitarian disaster for all the faculty and staff involved, not to mention the students who want to pursue this stuff, said Brian Alexander, Georgetown University senior scholar who has written on higher indoctrination. It's an open question as to the extent college and universities can cut their way to sustainability. Yeah, most of them will have to shut down because there really are just too many colleges. For Terry Vermillion, who just retired after 34 years as a music professor at St. Cloud State, the cuts are hard to watch. The nation's music programs took a hit during the pandemic, he said, with Zoom banned nothing short of disasters for many public school programs. I can imagine. And plus, imagine the neighbors having to listen to you perform a remote concert on your bagpipes. Yeah, I could see where that would be a disaster. We were just unable to really effectively teach music online, so there's a gap, he said. And, we're starting to come out of that gap, and we're starting to rebound a bit, and then the cuts are coming. Yeah, because I think Aaron Clary covered this article too. And as he pointed out, what work is there for music majors? A lot of these kids, they're going to start focusing on things that can actually land them a job, get them a paycheck. I think the most common job that music majors end up in is Starbucks barista, right? You realize you could be a barista without going to college. You want to do music, may as well self-study and make your own band or something while you work as a barista. Probably be a lot more successful that way. And for St. Cloud music majors such as Lily Rhodes, the biggest fear was what will happen as the program is phased out. New students won't be admitted to the department, and her professors will look for new gerbs. And that'll help it get phased out faster. When you suspend the whole music department, it's awfully difficult to keep ensembles alive, she said. There's no musicians coming in, so when our seniors graduate, they go on, and our ensembles just keep getting smaller and smaller. What they're going to have to start doing is they're going to have to start teaming up with other schools. That's pretty much the only way. All the schools in your region, they're going to have to pool together. And you're going to have shared ensembles or something. That's so difficult to keep going if it's like this, she said. Well, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should think of a useful degree. Now, I have no shade being thrown at people who want to do band as a hobby. But if you expect to make that a living and you haven't already, had your breakout hits and are bringing in boatloads of money, good luck. Like seriously, just brush up on your barista skills now, because yeah, that's what you'll be doing.